First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. The chair will entertain a motion. Thank you, Commissioner Snell, Commissioner Williams. Any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Did I hear anybody else say aye? Okay, good. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Public comment guidelines. Each individual will state their name, please, and have 3 minutes to address the board. And we don't engage in question and answer here. This is for you to say whatever you'd like to say to the board. So public comment is now open. Please come forward and make your public comment. And I think the green button is already pushed, so just speak into the microphone if you will. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Marilyn Acton, and I would like to be appointed to Lifeway's Board of Directors. So I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I serve at Jackson Public Schools as the treasurer. I got elected and, started serving 2023. So I was elected by my peers to be the treasurer. This is my second year. So I've worn a lot of hats in the mental health field. So I'm concerned with this new administration. There's some executive orders coming out, and I just want to make sure that our Medicaid dollars are spent the way that they should be spent. So I'm very concerned, obviously, with where the money goes. And plus, being on the school board, I see a lot of children that are in need of mental health services. And I know that there's really large wait times, especially for psychiatry. And then I'm very familiar with Lifeways. I worked back in 2008, subcontracted with Community Connections. And then I worked at Highfields. They were subcontractors. And then, Family Service and Children's Aid. And most recently, actually, I worked at Family Service and Children's Aid, and then at Integro until they were taken over by Lifeways. That was back last year, I guess, until February. So I would like to be considered for the position. I think I'm very well qualified. I'm not afraid to speak in public. I'm not afraid to say the things that shouldn't be said or maybe that are afraid to be said. So I would ask for your support. Thank you.
Hello all, my name is Amy Rogers and I'm a lifelong resident of Jackson and passionate for advocating for individuals with disabilities. For the past 27 years, I've dedicated my life and my career to the field of special education, serving in various roles as a teacher, teacher consultant, and 9 years as the principal of the Torrance Center, and most recently the past 2 years as the assistant director of special education for the Jackson County ISD. Since joining the Jackson County ISD in 2004, I've remained committed to my why and to ensuring that the marginalized students and their families receive comprehensive, coordinated services and advocacy. I firmly believe that every member of our community should be valued for their strengths, supported in their unique challenges, and working with individuals and with disabilities and their families is my calling. I am seeking appointment as well to the Lifeways Board to expand my impact beyond education into the broader community. Lifeways' mission aligns closely with my professional practices, supporting individuals facing emotional, behavioral, intellectual, and developmental challenges, and as well as substance abuse issues. As a board member, I'll be dedicated to advocating for inclusion, recovery, wellness, trauma-informed care, and access to vital behavioral supports, health supports. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Peter Benke, applying for the Lifeways board position. I'm a lifelong member of Jackson, went to Catholic schools here. My brother, he was hit by a drunk driver when he was 7 years old, went to the Torrance Center. So while he was going there, I donated or volunteered my time when I was in high school and a little bit while I was in college. So I have direct family history with my brother utilizing Lifeways. I think it's a great organization. I'd love to be involved, and I'd love to give my talents that I can provide in some of the experiences that I've had in my life. I'm a business owner here in Jackson for the past 18 years, and I think I could offer some interesting insight personally with what I've experienced with my brother and also through the business experiences that I have. I'd greatly appreciate if you'd consider me for a position on the board. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Sparks. I am also seeking an approval of a position on the Lifeways Board. I am a lifelong member of Jackson County, born and raised, grew up in Concord, graduated from Spring Arbor, both bachelor's and master's. I have worked in several capacities of the mental health field. I worked for Integro, I have worked for Highfields in a child adolescent home-based capacity. And then I worked for Recovery Technology doing ACT for our persistently mentally ill individuals who also suffer with SUD. I am certified with SUD, a certification, and then I worked for Lifeways for over 7 years in different capacities in the Access Center, seeing individuals come in firsthand, looking for services, potentially getting frustrated because they couldn't get those services, and then me being frustrated because I couldn't provide those services for them. And then also from the utilization management perspective of Lifeways as well, and seeing what can and cannot be approved for Lifeways, and seeing those frustrations for individuals that probably need those services but couldn't get them for whatever reason. It's very frustrating. I would love to be able to be part of the solution as opposed to being part of the problem, which is what our folks would see as if I could not provide them those services, I was part of the problem because then I was turning them down. I would love to be able to help solve the problem for them. And so currently in my role, I work for the Department of Corrections. I am overseeing all the substance use services in the state of Michigan for our prison systems, and our folks that have at least 60% of our folks have a substance use issue. They potentially come out and get turned down because of our PIHPs, because there are just not enough services for those individuals. I would love to be able to help get them services as well. So if you would please consider me as part of the board, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ella Hefzibah. I am also a lifelong member of Jackson Community. I too am seeking appointment with the Lifeways Board. I don't have all the sophistication as some of the people behind me, but I have worked within the nonprofit and sector for many years, as well as Lifeways and other mental health advocacy programs within Jackson. My passion is a little bit different in that I would like to see a little bit more diversity on the board. I believe that the community is in need of more education as far as mental health services go, and I would like to see that come to fruition and be a part of making sure that that happens. As I was working with Lifeways, I do appreciate that the work that they do within Hillsdale and Jackson community, but I do feel like together we can work a little bit harder, and I would like to be a part of that. Again, I have history in ACT work. I was 8 years with Impact, 4 to 5 years in Lifeways, going into the schools teaching youth mental health first aid. I also now work for Nonprofit Network, which gives me the inside information as to how to help operate a nonprofit. So with that being said, I hope that I receive your support, and I am interested in joining the board at Lifeways. Thank you.
Is there more public comment? Is there any more public comment? Last chance. Public comment is now closed. Thank you for all the commentary. We'll move on to committee items. First item is minutes from last month's meeting. The chair will entertain a motion. Thank you, Commissioner Snell and Commissioner Bear. Any comments on the minutes? All those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now on to appointments. Members, you'll see we have several appointments to make today. The first is with respect to Veterans Affairs. There is a member at large for a term expiring March of 2029. Current member is David Newberry. He has applied. The chair will entertain nominations. Newberry has been nominated. Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Newberry will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We move on to the Lifeways Board. There is a commissioner term expiring March of 2028. Your humble chair is the current member, and I have applied to be reappointed. Chair will entertain any nominations from the floor, and gladly, if you're ready to do this. Thank you. Poleski is nominated. Hearing no others to be nominated, all those in favor of Poleski will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will move on now to the general public. I'm going to skip down to the general public nomination for the term ending March of 2028. The seat currently held by Christine Carlson, a sitting member of the Lifeways Board. She has applied to fill that spot. Chair will entertain a motion with respect to that seat.
Nominate Carlson.
Thank you. Carlson is nominated.
Support.
Thank you. Hearing no other nominations for that, Commissioner Bear.
I'd like to nominate Marilyn Acton.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Mr. Clerk, when you're ready, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bear,
Marilyn Acton.
Commissioner Willis,
Carlson.
Commissioner Williams,
Carlson.
Commissioner Snell,
Carlson.
Commissioner Plesky.
Carlson.
Passes with Carlson.
Thank you. The next seat is a general public seat currently held by John Clark. He has not chosen to be, to continue. And so we have the very excellent selection of those who have applied, those being Marilyn Acton, Carly Starnes, Pete Benke, Elizabeth Sparks, Ella Hefzibah. I'm sorry, have I said that correctly? Ella?
Hefzibah.
Okay. Amy Rogers and Karen Wooten. The chair will entertain nominations for this seat.
Mr. Chair, I would like to nominate Elizabeth Sparks. I'd also like to say that this was an outstanding group of candidates, and it was really hard to make that decision.
Thank you. Sparks is nominated.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Ella Hefzibah. And I
Ella
agree with
Hefzibah is
Mr.
nominated. Thank
Commissioner
you.
Snell.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Commissioner Willis,
Hefzibah.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Snell,
Sparks.
Commissioner Bear,
Sparks.
Commissioner Plesky.
Sparks.
Sparks 3, Hefzibah 2.
Thank you. Sparks will be forwarded to the full board with a recommendation of approval. Just so that everyone is clear, this is a recommendation from this committee. The full board will vote next week on the final appointment to the Lifeways Board. Okay. The last open item with respect to Lifeways is a primary consumer member of the board. The sitting member, Carl Rice, has chosen not to be reappointed. This is someone who has had direct interaction with Lifeways as a consumer. So a little more limited population of those who are eligible. Currently, we do not have any applicants in that particular category. Are there any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, we'll
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Question, I'm
Yes.
sorry, if I can.
Yeah.
Was there, I'm trying to remember, was there someone that spoke today that
thought
fit the
Mr.
qualifications?
I thought Mr. Benke said he had.
I can't.
Well, with respect to, they did not apply using that category that I'm aware of, okay? If I suppose if there is someone we're aware of that fits the category, we could consider their nomination, but I'm not aware of anybody that's applied under that category.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Please.
Could we ask for Lifeways to give us an interpretation of that rule, please? Because I believe the qualification is primary and/or secondary consumer. As in, if you have a direct member of your family that is a primary consumer, you can qualify.
We can ask, but I understood that this was a primary consumer spot, not even a secondary consumer.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, and we can verify that. Apparently, we're gonna have to re-advertise anyway. So we'll make sure we have clarification on that point. Any further questions on appointments? And I will echo Commissioner Snell's point that this is a really stellar lineup of very qualified citizens. How do you say yes to one and no to the remainder? And I hope the remaining folks who have applied will consider other board appointments here at the county, because we need great citizens to be our advisors on those various boards. So thank you to all who have applied. Really, boy, it's a feast or famine in this realm, I guess. You don't get anybody, and then you get a bunch of really excellent people. Thank you very much. We move on now to the DHHS quarterly report. I think Madam Director is here, Jackie.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity for me to present to you with the DHHS updates. I wanted to start with staffing. We typically get our staffing allocations in October. Our fiscal year runs from October to September 30th, and have been without those until just a couple weeks ago. So in the interim, while we were waiting for our staffing allocations, there were several positions, if not all, that were not able to be filled until those allocations came out. There was a different process that took place this time that the state has switched over to within DHHS, and it has taken all of this time to get here. So just happy to say and report that we have our allocations and have begun to fill back to where we need to be for both children's services and our assistance payment staff. So that's been a stressful time for folks over at DHHS and our staff, and being able to serve our community in the way that we would like to, and in the good way we can when we're fully staffed. So excited to provide that update. We don't have our final allocation, stamped allocation, I would say. We were able to ask for a wish list for some additional staff or positions, and are should probably hear, I would say even this week, hopeful to hear on that, but we're still able to fill, so that's been good. Our county child care fund update, wanted to provide this to you. In the beginning of the year, as of January, we were at 33% of the fiscal year that had lapsed. And we have two particular spots in our budget around institutional care and our independent living youth. And those are over, we're over, not in line with our fiscal year, over budget as we sit here today. We're continuing to look at the funding source for each child that we have in care prior to placement. And I can tell you that even since the writing of this report for February, those numbers have come down and we're starting to realign with where we're expended. So I think we're going to be okay moving forward in that. But in our budget, and certainly we'll keep you posted on that. The bulk of the spending is coming from the cost of both our child care institutions. They have really just the cost is times 3 from what I remember over the years, and that is what is taking quite a bit of our budget. The independent living, I just want to say our independent living youth are our youth that are 16 years of age and eligible for independent living services. Just for an example, a couple of the criteria would be they have to be in school, they have to have a job, they have to be able to demonstrate some of the life skills that would make them appropriate for independent living and be able to somewhat live independently. There are facilities that are called independent living plus facilities, and they're not the same cost as our child care institution, but it's a place for them to be before they go full board into independent living so that we can get them more ready. And there's a larger cost for that. And so we have some youth in independent living that are in those living arrangements, and that's why we're a little bit high there. Now, all that to say, one of the things that Jackson's been working on for the last year or so has been our permanency within 12 months for our youth. And Jackson is one of 6 counties in the whole state that are working to move this needle, and that we're being overseen by our federal entity that we have to respond to every month. There's a long story there, but that's in a nutshell. Just to say, as we move our youth into permanency, those numbers are going to shift. Kids are going to come out of that independent living youth or plus homes and into something that isn't as costly, and the same with our child care institutions. So we're looking to transition them out of facilities as quickly as we can and into more of a community setting or a traditional home setting if they are able to return to their biological home or the home that we have removed from. So we'll keep an eye on that, but that is what's promising. There's quite a bit of shifting that can happen weeks and months very quickly that will change that number. So I'll keep you posted. As we're near the end of our colder months, and I couldn't be more excited for this week, I was saying I feel like a different person when the sun's out. I probably wasn't so great the last few weeks, maybe a little better and heading into a good March. So excited to see that. But as we're near the end of our colder months, we're continuing to be busy with the state emergency relief requests, and that's on our payment side. So between December and January, there was an increase of 210 applications for emergency assistance. And we do lots of emergency type assistance for burial, utility shutoff notices, but most of our requests are energy related. One of the things I wanted to make you all aware of is that there's been a change in our service cap for our community members. So it was 800 last year, and this year the cap is at 500 for energy relief. And I say that because the other change that is coupled with that is that folks last year were able to apply until they met their cap. So it didn't necessarily have to be all energy related. It could be, or the same ask. It could be a couple asks, and as long as they weren't at their cap, they were authorized this year. It's, I say one and done. Just when they ask, even if it hasn't reached the cap of 500, that's it. So though there have been some changes, and just to make you aware of that folks are continuing to struggle and have had some restriction on what they're eligible for. Wanted to also say there's a marked increase of food assistance applications this year, 3,000 more applications for January of 2025 compared to January of 24, and connected really to the state of our economy at this time and our inflation and folks having a bit more difficulty making ends meet. I wanted to say April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we're looking forward to that. I wanted to make you aware that you may see some blue pinwheels spinning in our department lawn or in other places, and that represents child abuse prevention. And so you'll see some of those as you drive by our building. And on April 17th at noon, there's always a community presentation at CP Can, which is at 606 Greenwood, right at the park outside of there. And we'll have a little bit of a speech and a dedication to Child Abuse Prevention Month with some planting of pinwheels. So looking forward to that as this weather breaks and to celebrate that cause. And so I've attached my meetings, and if there's any questions from you all, I'm happy to field some. Otherwise, thank
Questions
you.
for Director Carafino? Commissioner Williams, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just two quick questions.
Sure.
My first question is for the event you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Do you have a flyer for that by chance?
I can get you one.
Okay.
Yep, I
Thank
do.
you.
I have one. I have one that I can send.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then also you had mentioned about the independent living.
Yep.
What is the age cutoff for that?
Well, you can be 16 is when you can be eligible, and 21, I think. Yeah, 21. I can check our policy manual on it, but it goes into into our 20s, the early 20s. 21 is the cap, I believe. And one of the other things I'll mention on independent living as well, which I will have a bigger, more robust update on this. The shelter, there's 2 independent living homes within Jackson County I wanted to mention as well. And it's, I want to say 3 or 4 houses down from the shelter. If you're looking at the shelter from the front, it's 3 or 4 houses down to the right, and I don't have the address written down, but it's called My Place, and we've been up that's an independent living home for our female youth. And it doesn't necessarily have to be our youth that are transitioning out of foster care, but we've been up and running for going on to year 3 now with our house for our young women, and we raised a house for our young men as well. And we have a dedication coming up this month on the 22nd of March. And then we'll be opening the doors for our young men's home as well. And also in the same vein of what we're talking about with independent living, just important to know that we have those 2 in our community. And that isn't all over the state. We're very fortunate in Jackson to be able to have that and to keep our youth in our community instead of having them have to go to some facility somewhere outside of here, and to keep them connected to their families and to their supports that are already built in. So I really went sideways on your question. Can you ask me again and make sure? There's so many good things for me to update you on. I could probably go on and on.
No, you actually answered my question, and everything else is just extra. So that's perfect. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Now
I'll have another update.
since we're on the subject, on
Yeah.
the 21st, is that open to the public? Can the public come out and be a part of the opening of that?
Dedication, yes.
The dedication.
Yep, I can send you information on that as well.
Perfect.
I have
Okay.
flyers for both. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Nothing-
you're welcome.
Nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to receive the report. Thank you, Commissioner Bear and Commissioner Snell.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor will please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
And now the medical care facility, Madam Director, is here. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Good afternoon. Okay, so just a little update on our finances. If you want to go ahead and go to the next slide for me. And then the next one after that. Okay, so for January, our revenue was $2,503,906, which was $75,740 behind budget. Our expenses were $2,675,675, and that was $189,415 better than budget. So overall, we ended January with a net position of negative $171,769, which was $113,675 better than budget. So although we are running a deficit for this month, We did better than expected, so that was very exciting for us. I always feel like the first month of a new budget is really testing those assumptions that you've put in place. So we were pretty pleased with the outcome for this first month. Our census was down a little bit more than what we had anticipated. So our census was 176. Our budgeted census was 181, so we were 5.1 bed days behind budget. But overall, we ended in a pretty good spot as far as revenue went with that lower census. A lot of that had to do with an increased number of Medicare residents that were coming in for short-term stays. So overall, we had 59 admissions and 54 discharges in the month of January. And I will note that both of those numbers are almost double the number of admissions and discharges that we were seeing regularly in 2024. So we've made some changes with those processes to try and enhance the census, and those do seem to be effective. On the next slide, you can see a full graph of what we had for census for 2024. So as you can see at the end of December, we really dropped down below where our budgeted census was. So we had a major climb that we needed to do in January. So if you'd like to go to the next slide, you can see our census to date since January. So you can see that we did have a nice climb up there in January. And then we also dipped back down a little bit. February, we had a nice climb again. And now we're sitting right around the budgeted census number for March. February, we did have some days that were higher than budgeted census, so we're anticipating revenue should look fairly good for the month of February. We did have 41 admits in the month of February and 37 discharges, which keeps with that same pattern of almost double the number of admissions and discharges we were doing in 2024 for a month. On the next slide, little bit of a slip in our AR accounts receivable days out. So our goal is 54 days. We were down to 55. We've increased back up to 59. So still a work in progress there. Cash on hand is estimated at 21 days. And again, this is taking out of that cash on hand number the amount that we've already earmarked to pay back to Medicaid for that $3.6 million. And that does not include any MOE funds or other invested funds. Our MOE projection for this year is to use about $168,000 for our bond interest payment in November. And that is my update. Any questions for me at all?
Questions for the medical care facility? The 21 days sounds a little short. When you say 21 days, that's taking all the funds that you have, subtracting out the 3.6 million that you know you're gonna have to pay back.
Yes.
And then
And
that's what is the 21 days, is that right?
Well, that is anticipating, it would be 21 days if we had absolutely no revenue coming in and we were still paying out all of the same expenses. So,
Right.
so it is definitely on the lower side than what we've seen, but in 2019, we were running closer to that number. So I'm not concerned at this point, but that is something we're definitely watching very closely as the months go by, as we watch how cash flow goes, especially with the bond payment that's coming up here in April.
Okay. All right. Other questions for the medical care facility? Chair will entertain a motion to receive the report.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Snell, Commissioner Williams. All in favor will please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Destiny. Madam Director, is this your last meeting for us?
It is.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm retiring at the end of April, so.
Yeah.
So you have my report in front of you, the contractor's report. So I'll remind you that this is, represents funding from October 1st through January 31st, 2025. The annual report details spent funds, so it's not all of the allocated funds, but it's the funds spent as of this time.
It includes our Older Americans Act funds, and note that contractors are permitted to submit transfer requests, which allows budget flexibility later in the year. For instance, if a contractor wants to request funds be transferred from congregate meals to home delivered meals based on the needs of the programs, that can happen. Our contractors submit monthly cash requests and budget reports, and we have quarterly meetings with our contractors. And of course, Jackson Department on Aging is one of our great contractors that we work closely with. There are some NSIP funds, which are meal funds awarded by the federal government, and these funds are issued to nutrition providers based on the previous year meal counts. So for fiscal year '25, ACL has announced these funds will not be issued until meal counts from all states have been reported. So they don't report to any state until all states have submit their data. So in the previous years, sometimes the funding has been approximated and then reconciled later in the year. So sometimes we lose funding and sometimes we may gain a little bit, and we never are quite sure how that's going to work out until they do that reconciliation. Our annual implementation plan, the ACLS Bureau expended our current 3-year planning period through 2026 so that it aligns with the state plan. So this year, we'll be doing a community needs survey again later this fall. And then what we get from the data from that survey will help our programming for years to come for 2027 to 2030. 2030 seems like a long way away, but I guess it's not. And then MDHHS launched its annual planning platform for us to use for the plan. However, there's some missing guidance on that right now, so we can't really get in there and start working on it yet, but as soon as we can, we will be doing that. So other agency updates, we're heavy involved in advocacy efforts to educate our elected officials about around the state and at the federal level too about the needs of older adults and adults with disabilities and their caregivers. We plan to attend the annual policy briefing in Washington, D.C. at the end of this month. 2024 has been a little difficult, or was a little bit difficult for budgeting because we did not receive our final award amount until June 6th. So as you can imagine, our fiscal year ends on September 30th. So not knowing exactly what the funding was going to be until in the summer, caused a few snags, but we got through it. I'm sure you're all aware the current continuing resolution expires this Friday. And so we're all, waiting to see if funding's going to be extended through the whole year or another continuing resolution. I haven't had a chance to read any updates today to see if there's any progress, but of course we are watching that closely. Of course, there's conversation around cuts to Medicaid and the Older Americans Act funding, which is concerning because it will affect a lot of our programming, but ourselves as well as our contractors are, refining contingency plans and those sorts of things so that we're ready when we know what's going to happen. Internally for contingency planning, we look at our community needs survey to prioritize programs and that sort of thing. So, we're just trying to ready ourselves as much as we can without knowing exactly what's going to happen. And we ask our contractors to do the same thing, to look at contingency planning in case they need to pull those plans out. We recently were awarded a No Wrong Door grant, excuse me, and this was a statewide grant funding opportunity that MDHHS put out. Wellwise Services was awarded the grant as well as some other agencies throughout the state. The goal was to have a statewide access point for options counseling as well as the SHIP program. And so we're pleased to say that we were able to get that that funding, that award. And of course, Jackson Department on Aging is one of our key partners in that to continue our work. And we have some other partners as well in the other counties, but more to come as we get that sorted out. We just got the award and the final budget amount last week. And so now, we have to have a readiness review and all sorts of other things to prove to the state that we can handle the work. I'm not worried about that. It's work we've already done. So it's just more formal award around that. So the new process, the No Wrong Door, is supposed to start May 1st or June 1st. We're not sure yet. We're waiting for the state to tell us. And so we're getting ready as quick as we can, but they tell us officially, hopefully soon, when it's going to start. And as part of this work, the state is going to have a statewide awareness campaign. The goal is to tell all older adults around the state who to call, where to call, and once they call that centralized number, they'll get routed to the correct entity that can help them with that work. We're also starting Enhanced Fitness. I have some flyers for you all, leave them on the back table, but it's a fitness class that is through the Silver Sneakers program, which is offered at a lot of other locations around the country. But we're going to be starting that at our office in Brooklyn. And there's a kickoff event that's coming as well on March 26th. And so you will see all about that on the flyer. We are required per our bylaws to have an annual meeting, and that's always in May. And in May is when our board of directors votes on their new officers for the next year. And so we will be sending out, we always invite the commissioners to come if you would like to in May, and that's later in the month of May. We've already mentioned, my plan for retirement, and the board is working through the process right now. They have a candidate in mind. I'm not ready to announce that yet because they still have some technicalities to work out as far as getting a contract signed and such, but it's someone that, knows a lot about WellWise services and is a strong supporter, so we'll announce that as soon as we can. So, questions for me?
Questions for WellWise? Questions?
Move to receive the report.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Snell and Commissioner Willis. All those in favor of receiving the report, will please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you've done.
Yes,
Happy retirement to you.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
MSU Extension Semi-Annual Report. I see Sparty Green here. Everyone, people are all green these days.
I won't tell you what school I graduated from. It's the
Okay, now
one
you
in
have
Ann
to tell
Arbor.
us. Oh, it's somewhere east of here, huh? Okay.
Yeah, but no, thank you for having us here today. I'm Mary Bowling. I'm the district director for MSU Extension, supervising staff here in Jackson, as well as 5 other counties here in Southeast Michigan. So we're glad to be here before you to give our semi-annual report. I do have with me the expert on 4-H, Haley Wineland, and so I'll cover just a couple slides and then I'll turn it over to Haley and she'll talk more in depth about 4-H here in Jackson County. But just to give you an idea of our 2024 progress, we are fully staffed here in Jackson County, so that's nice. We have no vacancies right now. And Jackson County residents participated in 405 programs last year from MSU Extension, so we're happy to have participation. Our staff here, we have 13 staff members, and they contribute to a number of community coalitions and partnerships also here in the county. And we've reached about 30,000, had 30,000 contacts with residents through our online social media and e-newsletters and our website. So we're just doing some good progress there. And then as far as we do have a number of agricultural educators that are housed here. Some of them have statewide responsibilities, but they're always doing work here in Jackson County as well. And just across the state, our agricultural educators, I wanted to highlight, have really helped farmers contribute about $250 billion to Michigan's local economy. So we're excited to have a number of those staff members here housed in Jackson County. The next slide, back one. Michigan agriculture, just kind of continuing along those lines. We are, looking at creating jobs and conserving resources. We have a number of programs, which I won't read everything for you. You've got the slides, but just to highlight a couple of things, we do have a horticulture educator that is doing work here in Jackson County with several different horticulture programs, and she's working on a Foundations of Gardening class, which is a 10-week course for people who may not want to become master gardeners. They can become master gardeners if they take some additional credits, but they don't have to. And so this is a 10-week program for people who are just interested in gardening and learning about gardening programs. And so teaches all different kinds of aspects of gardening. And, for agricultural programs, I mentioned there were 405 programs that county residents participated in, and 286 people participated in our ag programs last year. So quite a few that participated in that. So next slide on natural resources and Michigan's economies. We do work to help protect, enhance, restore, and manage acres of land. And here in Southeast Michigan, there were 281,000 acres of land last year that we assisted with helping in. And then as far as our Michigan economy, I wanted to highlight our product center because we have a couple of product center educators that work here in Jackson County, and they're not housed here in Jackson County, but they do work here. And last year, we helped 12 Jackson County companies, and those companies contributed $4 million to the local economy. And so I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then next is our nutrition programs and healthy lifestyles. And we do a lot with safe handling of food and canning of food, training restaurant workers. Our Serve Safe program is a national program that we conduct a number of times here in Jackson County each year. We partner with the Crouch Senior Center and offered a Cooking for One program last year. And there's over 550 county residents who participated just in our nutrition programs last year. So we do a lot to prevent and manage chronic diseases and a lot of other things, but we couldn't do that without the partnerships here in Jackson County. And then next, I'm going to let Haley talk about our 4-H program, but just to let you know that it is America's largest youth development organization, and to have us here in Jackson County, we're really proud of that. So I'm going to turn it over to Haley, and then we'll answer questions at the end.
Thank you, Mary. So as Mary said, I'm Haley Weinland. I'm the 4-H program coordinator for Jackson County through MSU Extension. Next slide. So I was asked by a couple commissioners to kind of give an overview of what Michigan 4-H is. And so, as Mary said, Michigan 4-H is one of the largest youth development organizations, along with nationally. So here in Michigan, we have over 100,000 young people from 5 to 19 years old within the program. So 4-H offers diverse programs in arts, animal science, environmental education, STEM topics, cultural and global education, leadership, and life skills, and many, many more. Whatever you guys can think of, we probably have a program for it. So a lot of our programs are done through hands-on learning by doing activities. 4-H helps develop critical skills such as goal setting, teamwork, conflict resolution, self-discipline, and empowering them to lead and succeed in life. Next slide, please. So Michigan 4-H impact. So 4-H helps youth explore their interests and gain valuable knowledge while building essential life skills, while being in a safe space to allow them to make mistakes, but make it a safe space. So that they are able to continue building. So participants grow through experiential learning, becoming leaders who contribute to their communities and prepared for future success. And then a little quote, true leaders aren't born, they are grown. And these are two pictures that are actually from Jackson County programs. So we have our Sharp Park Garden Club and then one of our workshops for painting. Next slide, please. So some 2024 fair highlights. So we had over 500 4-H animals shown at the fair this past year. And then we also had over 400 4-H still exhibit projects. So those are your non-living things. So like all your crafts, so crocheting, all those fun things that are in the Gumper building. And then for both of our large and small animal auctions, we had over 500 buyers from the community. So that's our local businesses and whoever the youth reached out to help support. And we greatly appreciate that. We couldn't do it without them. Next slide, please. So now getting into kind of Jackson County 4-H. Currently, as of last month, we have 430 youth registered for 4-H, and then we have 196 volunteers, and that's all within just Jackson County. So the dedication of community members, whether through volunteerism, donation, or encouragement, plays a vital role in making this program successful here in Jackson County. Without that community involvement, 4-H wouldn't have the resources or impact it does. So another huge shout out, thank you. And then some more local county pictures from workshops and yeah, next slide, please. And then last but not least, just kind of gave you a list of the different things that we're doing here in Jackson. So our 4-H clubs, we have 19 traditional 4-H clubs. So we have a traditional club in almost every single township here in Jackson County. And then we have a couple other clubs and outreach that we're doing, such as Sharp Park Academy. We have a garden club there monthly. And then Parkside Vikings, we have an after-school 4-H club that takes place monthly as well. We have a couple other spin clubs, which is our special interest clubs, such as Pocket Pets. So that's for your non-traditional farm animals that kids can still show at fair. So like we have a lot of kids that'll bring in like beetles, lizards, parrots, those kind of things to fair and still have that opportunity, even if they don't have space for your typical farm animal like sheep, whatever. So some state 4-H events that we've had Jackson youth actually attend. So 4-H Exploration Days is a statewide pre-college event, and we had 4 Jackson 4-H youth attend, and we actually have some more that are going to be attending this year. So that's super exciting to continue building and hoping that we get a larger group from Jackson County that can attend. For our state 4-H horse show, we had 8 delegates from Jackson County attend. And then for our state 4-H rabbit and KB show, we had 3. And then 2 weekends ago, I believe, was 4-H day at the Breslin Center. So we were invited to have 10 4-H Jackson youth go out onto the court and actually do the ball toss during the MSU women's basketball game. So that was super exciting, and it was an honor to have 10 youth from Jackson be represented and showing our support to MSU communities of what youth development means. And then lastly, you can read some of the workshops that 4-H we're doing this year. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions on what 4-H is and what we're doing here in Jackson County.
Questions for 4-H? Go ahead, John.
I just want to say we appreciate what you do. I myself was a 4-H youth growing up. That was a long time ago. But
We don't talk about
it benefited me greatly. And have to add in there, go green after the great.
Yes, go white. I am a proud alum of MSU. Thank you.
Commissioner Bear has a question.
Oh. Yes. Oh, you want to hear? Yes, of course. So we actually had a horticulture state specialist come down from MSU and educated on some cultural aspects of chocolate, where it's come from, and the history of it, and make it, but have a fun twist on it for the youth. We did, and then at the end, we ended up making some chocolate shakes. But all the youth were able to get an ounce of like the history and the actual culture of where chocolate comes from, and not that it's just your Hershey's chocolate bar that you see. So, yes, we had to have a fun, enticing name for it, though.
Haley, are you any relation to Terry and Linda Wineland?
It's funny, I did not know coming here, but apparently they're my grandparents' cousins of some sort. So yes, technically.
Well, next time you see him, if you'll pass our greetings along to them, that'd be wonderful.
I can do that.
The chair will entertain a motion to receive the report. Thank you, Commissioner Bear and Commissioner Willis. All in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, the medical examiner's report. Thanks for being here
Hello,
today.
thank you. I always feel like such the downer after fun stuff like that, but I do have some important stats. I've submitted the quarterly report, which included November, December, January reports, including our drug statistics, which I believe are complete. You will notice that there was a downturn in drug-related deaths from 52 in 2023 to 30 in 2024. So that was a positive for sure. We have been very busy this year. So I did submit some charts with 2024 month-by-month statistics for Jackson, Lenawee, and Hillsdale counties together to kind of give you a bigger picture on what staff is working on, who is being sent to the morgue. We had, in 2024 with the 3 counties, 1,119 cases investigated, and then 329 autopsies were performed at the Jackson County morgue for the 3 counties. Just to kind of give you a picture of how things are going right now, January we had 71 cases investigated just by Jackson County office alone. So if you compare it to the stats from 2024, that is trending to be a little bit higher. So we have been quite busy. We are at full occupancy right now, which is never a good thing for us. I have ordered 2 new carts, just so you know, using a local Jackson company called Lomar. They are a fabricator, builder. They work with stainless steel. I met them actually through a career fair that they had at Jackson College. I manned or womaned a table at the career fair, and I happened to be next to Lomar. And so I, of course, because I like to talk, struck up a conversation with her, and I said, hey, do you guys work with stainless steel? And she said, why, yes, we do. So, a number of months ago, we had one of their engineers come out to our office. They looked at our current carts and did measuring, and they gave us some, a quote. And I'm hoping that with the purchase of these carts, which were slightly more than the previous purchase we bought from, that the quality will be better. We've had lots of trouble with our previous, the company that we purchased from, with quality standards. They don't stand behind their work. So the reason I went with somebody else is for those exact reasons. The company that we were using, they don't stand behind their equipment. The stainless steel purchased almost immediately started rusting. And so we're hoping for better. We're also hoping with Lomar that they will be able to supply us with some new swivel caster style wheels for some of our other carts, because the brakes break on the carts quite easily. And we have a couple carts. So I would like to replace just the wheels on the carts, but the former company is quoting us $1,200 to replace a set of wheels per cart. So that we're trying to do something a little more economical there, but still good. So that's, we've have that in the works. Hopefully we'll get those soon. And then I just want to mention, because I think Health Department will also mention this, we did last month take part in the overdose fatality review team. We had an introductory meeting. That's being actually coordinated by Zoe Morton from the Health Department. She's the opioid education gal over there. And we had a really nice introductory meeting to overdose fatality review, which it was a state bill introduced in 2024. And it gives the counties the ability to discuss overdose fatalities and hopefully help put either preventive or supportive things out in the community, that type of a thing. So I think that's all I was really going to mention today. If you have any questions, I welcome them.
Questions? Commissioner Willis, please.
Just wanted to know, you may have already mentioned it, but what does full capacity mean?
That just means that our cooler is full. I have no more space right now. Hopefully, we'll have somebody vacating.
Okay, and those occupy how many spaces?
Right now, in the cooler, 10. Once I get the 2 new carts, hopefully that will help us. Just have a little more flexibility.
We try not to double bunk, I suppose, too.
We
don't we?
try not to. Yeah, we try not to. If we're forced to, it's done respectfully, I promise.
I'm being facetious. I should be spanked for that. So, when it comes to with your working with Lomar, they're a very good outfit, and I would suggest with respect to casters, you may want to consider contacting Caster Concepts in Parma Township. They're on is Michigan Avenue, right near the intersection of M99 and I-94.
Okay.
They make all kinds of casters. I mean, all the way from ones as tall as this room to itty bitty ones.
Okay,
and
good.
that is their thing. So
Nice. I didn't know they
just
existed.
an idea if you're looking for
Yeah,
that sort of a
perfect.
product. Okay, they're local people and they're very good.
Perfect.
Okay, just an idea. It's over, I think, in your area, is it not, Tony? Parma Township, yours? Yep. The chair will entertain a motion to receive the report. Thank you, Commissioner Baird, Commissioner Williams. All in favor will please say aye. Aye. All opposed. Thank you.
Thank
for the
you.
report. And now our Department on Aging. Danielle here is here. Thank you for being here, Danielle.
And good afternoon. I just have a short report this month, and we've been, going through the fundraising for the Soups On for Seniors event, and just excited for that event that's actually tomorrow. So currently, we nearly have about 100 items for various auctions, whether it's a live auction or a silent auction. So the community support has been just amazing. So from all the different businesses and individuals, actually, that just want to donate and support this. One of our board members had gone out to Rives Meat Market and had gotten a gift certificate there to go with our grill package, and somebody had saw the flyer and then they wanted to donate something to the event. So they have a really amazing fabric art. So that's something that was added to the auction. So we've just been taking a lot of donations in for that. I anticipate that just a lower guest, it'll probably bring in about 19,000. Could be higher than that. It really just depends on how things go through in the auction. We have Tim Bowes, who is going to be our auctioneer, so we're pretty excited. That'll definitely liven up our event. About a week ago, we learned that Steve Tucker with the Michigan Theater, he's actually going to be joining Matt Walsh and playing his guitar. So just another, we're just kind of going with the flow and adding new things this year. So it's pretty exciting. One of our live auction items is actually a opportunity to have a spring cleanup. So if somebody is looking to have that done, we have some JPS high school athletes that are going to come out and do yard cleanup, between 8 and 10 athletes along with a supervisor. So they're going to do up to 4 hours of time. So definitely it's a package to bid on. And then of course our grill package that was donated by ARP, as well as some additions to that. And then that Mackinac is definitely, the Tower Tour Certificates is drawing a lot of interest. Before the meeting, I fielded a call from somebody towards the Detroit area that may drive up and decide to bid on that. So definitely it'll be an exciting event. And our restaurants, if you're hungry that day and want to enjoy some soup, we have things like butternut squash bisque, Italian wedding soup, Russian cabbage, white chicken chili. So just it's going to be a good time for a great cause. And I'll be back to report out next month on the success of the event. I just wanted to highlight a few different senior activities. Our cardio drumming is continuing to grow. We had 19 people recently attend that. We continue to buy new balls in the buckets if we have more people attending, but just a lot of interest in that. It's a fun volunteer-led activity, but people seem to just like that opportunity to get together and do a different form of exercise. So we're excited to continue to see that grow. Working with volunteers, a lot of our activities, we get different ideas. We had 2 volunteers that wanted to do something with trivia. So being able to incorporate their ideas, they've done 2 events right now. They've been well attended. People just looking for different things to get out there, engage with others, and it's definitely a fun atmosphere. We're actually planning a senior prom in May, and this really kind of came about through our advisory council for the Department on Aging. We have something new on the agenda where people can throw out ideas or share something about a program that they've heard, and one of the board members suggested, what about a senior prom? And so we just kind of let that gather interest from some of the seniors and talk to them about it, and they're really excited. We actually had somebody say that she wasn't able to attend her senior prom and would just love to come and get dressed up. So whether people get dressed up for the event or whether they just come in normal attire, however they choose to, I think it's going to be a fun night. So definitely gaining interest already. Last month, I talked about the Older American Month theme, which was have a place at the table. And so something that we've added for one of the weeks is just entertainment during lunch. So we'll have a band playing music, and people can enjoy that activity. So we're just trying to get creative. That'll be happening the week of March 24th. I also included just some comments as we're doing donation letters and processing some of the donations that come in. You'll always get little comments either on the outside of the envelope or on the donation letter, and just thoughts that people are really happy either for their home care workers or how much the meals help them and things like that. So I just wanted to get a chance to share that with you all. And I can field any questions.
Questions for the Department on Aging? Commissioner Snell, please.
Got to take those off to speak. The feedback's interesting. So I'll be seeing you tomorrow night. It's always a great event that you put on there, and I hope to see other commissioners there. Thank you.
I think my wife and I are planning to be there. I think we sent you some money. I hope we did. Chair will entertain a motion to receive the report. Thank you, Commissioner Bear, Commissioner Wills. All in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle. And now the Health Department, I believe, is next. Yes. The PFAS Response Grant.
Good afternoon. Yes, my first item is an action item looking for approval for accepting a grant from MDHHS in the amount of $30,941 for the PFAS response grant. Really quickly giving a little information, there's a lot of information in the staff report, but Eagle has started sampling in areas subject to potential PFAS contamination. They sample wells in those areas. When they have a hit, it then becomes our responsibility to provide the water filters and have them installed, and then continue with ongoing maintenance of those, ensuring that residents get their filters refilled and stuff. So this 30,000, just over 30,000 covers our staff time and the filters and installation.
So that's the fix for the PFAS in the well, is a special filter of some sort?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Questions for Commissioner Bear?
Thank you. Can you tell me approximately how many wells? How many families are impacted by PFAS in their wells?
In this one area, so Eagle is doing different sampling in different areas. This is for one area, one block of area near the airport, kind of in those subdivision areas, Longfellow, some of those kind of
And
goes over to
they're still on
Optimus.
wells out that way?
There's quite a few still on wells. So they, this one block, we have 19, I believe, registered addresses that had hits that we could potentially, the homeowners have to ask for it. We don't go in and make them. So we have 19 potential that we could have to install.
All right, so the wells are near the airport.
These ones,
All
yes.
right, that kind of agrees with what Airport Director Juan Zapata was here this morning and said they no longer use wells. They have tapped into the city water supply because of PFAS and other contaminations. All right, second question, the program budget summary that you provided. Thank you for that. That's interesting. The second page of it, it's a 2-page report. I don't know if something's not printing out right.
It's
When I
basically.
get to the second page, there's just one little number floating in the middle of the page.
Yeah.
Should there be more
No,
information?
there should not. This is, it just, I think we were calculating alongside of the
Okay, so I'm not missing
the
that.
actual template, so no, this is the state budget report that we prepare for them, so.
Thank you.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to, now this is an action item, right? In other words, we're doing this and it's finished here, right? 30,940, it doesn't have to go to the full board? It's only 30,000, we're gonna approve it here, okay? So just to be clear, so the chair will entertain a motion to do just that, to approve it, okay? Commissioner Snell and Commissioner Williams, thank you. Any further comments with respect to the grant? All in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And then on to the monthly report.
Next item is the monthly report. Of course, you know, the one meeting that I have lots to talk about is the very long meeting here. So I will try to be brief, and I actually think I'll keep the last page and talk about it next time. The first page of the monthly report does talk about our community health education and promotion. As Sarah mentioned, the overdose fatality review team did convene, had over 20 participants, or about 20 participants in the providers that were in attendance there, got lots of good ideas on how they'll go forward with that. We also, with our opioid program, it is time to mention that our health educator in that position has been doing prevention programming with our county youth center. So we partnered with our youth center to put some targeted prevention efforts towards them. So we have a 12-week program, and you can see the numbers of participants we've reached with that program so far, just since the beginning of January, I believe. The Narcan distribution on that page, if you open your PDF, there's a little click here. Our outreach coordinator that I'll talk about in a few minutes is really doing a lot of Facebook and social media to try to keep the prevention efforts and our focus on what's happening with the health department relevant and keep a presence in the social media community. That little link there is kind of a fun day in the afternoon or morning in the life of a health educator as she is going out to fill the Narcan vending machine in Grass Lake, at the Grass Lake. As I mentioned before, we have the health department has 3 Narcan vending machines that we keep supply of Narcan in and full at those rest areas, and it does go, and it is, we have distributed 535 boxes of Narcan just in those, not to mention the other Narcan vending machines that like Home of New Vision and other providers in the area have around. This is just reporting our 3 at the rest areas. On the next page, we can talk about the Teen Outreach Program, Empowering Youth Today. As I mentioned a few months ago, we did have some turnover with our health educators in the community health education promotion. We are now several months into their employment, and their work is starting, and is exemplified in the work that they're doing and the numbers of people that they're seeing in the programming and back in the schools. The next couple pages just has a little bit of information of some of the information that we're putting together as in the health education area or arena that's going out to the community. We have communications with our schools regularly, not only through community health, but also with our immunization and communicable disease tracking. So, working together to put information out in different ways has been well received by schools and parents. The next, I think 2 pages in front of there's just a couple of the flyers and things that we've sent out. We have, on the next page, there's our hearing and vision program numbers, and then we are going to just report the kindergarten oral health and school wellness programs, those numbers and that information quarterly. Some of those things just don't change very often, and it aligns a little bit better. Of course, if you ever want specific information about the kindergarten oral health or the school wellness program, please feel free to reach out, and I can always make sure we'll add it, but you'll see that on a quarterly basis. JCHD outreach activities, this is another one that I want to highlight. Even talking about being with the youth center with our opioid program, one of our health educators did a medication safety presentation for the Department on Aging that seemed well received. There were 53 people at that event. So really trying to work out in the community and get information out for whatever it is, whatever that topic of need is. That's what our health education team is there for. That Spotify ad that I mentioned a little while ago, wow, what a turnout on that. For $500, we reached 21,907 unique individuals through that ad. So, really interesting find on how we can use a small amount of dollars to get word out to a lot of different people, and that is targeted based on zip code. So those are 21,000 individuals in our area that listen to that ad on Spotify. So the reach of that, it will be hard to measure, but just knowing that many people heard information about immunizations is important. So the other couple other things on that outreach activities page is we have a monthly spot on JTV where we go to talk about, whatever the topic of interest. So we're really reaching through the community, trying to put different focus on whatever the topic that month may be. This month is Nutrition Month. Last in January was Radon Month, so we try to go out and talk about those things. Moving on to personal and preventative health, there's some data and some information there about flu and other illnesses, especially respiratory illnesses in the schools that we've been tracking. Those numbers have gone up since that chart on the bottom is, I think, the past 6 months or 6 weeks starting in January. So those numbers of flu-like symptoms and things like that have gone up. So we're again trying to target information to get information out to the parents and schools about how we can we do our hand washing, different targeted messages we can get to people. I will say the immunization, that second part on that slide is going to show up again because I copied and pasted it more than I should have. So there is information though there, and we are really trying to focus on vaccine hesitancy in the community. That is one area that health departments and people across the state and country just routine vaccines for childhood immunizations that our waivers have gone up and our vaccine compliance has gone down. So we want to get the message up and back out about the importance of some of these vaccines. We've seen outbreaks of measles and things that we haven't seen before in a really long time because of some of this vaccine hesitancy. So next couple pages have some pictures on them. If you recall, about a year or so ago, I came to you with a request to accept a public health infrastructure grant. With that grant, we've been able to do new flooring and all new paint right now on the first floor. It's a 4-year grant, and so we're continuing and we'll continue to move on. Right now, if you have been to the Human Service Building or if you haven't been, I encourage you to go check out on the ground floor. There's all new flooring in there and all new paint on everything except for the EH internal area, and our WIC offices are getting scheduled to go. So this first one has new new paint and new things that we're able to do some sensory activities in areas to try to, give kids a place so they're not so anxious in rooms when they're going to have immunizations. Next slide, again, shows some of the changes in the paint and the signage in the WIC and IMS areas. That floor has yet to be redone. If you look on the right side of that floor where that doorway goes in, that goes into the clinical services waiting area. The flooring will then continue out and go in all through WIC, but the painting is done there. WIC, we have seen a slight increase in participation, hoping that continues. Hearing Jackie talk about their number of increased requests for food assistance, it makes me wonder if we will follow in that same trend. We haven't seen it, but it's, maybe this is the start as we see a slight increase this month. Lastly, I want to talk about environmental health. As you know, we have been without a director since it's been almost a year now. We have taken that position, the director position, down, and Holly Matthew, my deputy health officers, and myself have decided to really start digging into that program. So I have here an update on kind of what our interim oversight plan is. We've really been in limbo, letting that work in that department continue. They do amazing work in there. We haven't had any, lapse of the work being done, but now it's really trying to get in there to figure out efficiencies and different things we can do. I'll be talking about new permitting software that has been in the works for several years now, coming to the board probably next month or the month after, but really focusing on how we can split the work of that director up and work together to really support and be there and improve things for the staff and the programming of the environmental health. Again, I just want to reiterate, that's not to say that anything has been not going well, because they are, a team that just continues on, but we haven't kind of dug in there yet to figure out how we can make things even better for them. So second to last page, but last page that I'm going to talk about today is we're gearing up for our vector program. So our mosquito program, we're looking for a mosquito vector arbovirus intern that will work through the summer, collecting all of those mosquitoes and sending them to the state for analysis. I have on here always the Arbor Village Mobile Home Park that continues, and the saga continues with that, or lack of progress with that. You will start hearing more about PFAS residential well sampling. And then in our food program, just note that all of our food restaurants are getting their notices for license renewal. License renewal for every restaurant, every license holder in the county expires on April 30th. So those letters are going out, and they will be, our EH clerks will be busy down there collecting payment from them. Last page does just talk about some of our internal engagement things going on, but just due to the length of time that I've already stood up here and talked, I'll save that for another day. It's not, it's an interesting read if you're interested, but otherwise I'll talk and give you some highlights of it at a later time.
Sounds good. Questions for the Health Department? Commissioner Williams, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just have one question for you. With the changes to the environmental health director's position, are those permanent?
No. Our goal is to, we have split the duties into three different areas: food, type 2, and kind of the other miscellaneous programs, our type 2 water supply, and then well and septic. And so each of us are taking on kind of an area just to work with the staff in those areas to see what they need, how the program works, really get a better understanding. Part of the reason for this, I'll go into a little bit more detail because of that question, was we just did not get qualified applicants. I hadn't had an applicant since August 30th, and they're just not, maybe there was someone that could potentially be some sort of the director part, but doesn't have the environmental health background. Well, Holly Matthew and myself don't really have the environmental health expertise, so it's really not that we'll ever be the experts of it, but that we can understand, what it is, what they need, so we can better direct, I guess, a director that might not have those, skills and abilities. We're looking for someone up here. We might have to settle for someone here, but that means that the three of us will, help with that.
Do you have an approximate time frame where that job would then be posted again?
there's a lot that goes into environmental health. So we just announced this to the staff in January, at the end of January. We're doing a work session for 2 days with the coordinators in that department to really dig in and understand what processes overflow with each other, who works on what, what goes where and how those efficiencies should be done. So I would say probably at least 6 to 9 months.
So, okay. Okay, I will circle back with you around that time because I know of someone I think that may be interested in such a position.
Yeah, I'm not opposed, I'm definitely not opposed if someone came along, with the skills and qualifications that we need, but it just wasn't happening. So it was time to, instead of sitting and just, letting things go as status quo, to get in there. So absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Willis has a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was noticing on the immunizations and the COVID trends, there's already some vaccine hesitancy and some strategies you all are working on. With the change in the national leadership for Health and Human Services, do you guys anticipate, or are there anything that you feel directly here in Jackson related to that?
There's a couple things that are borderline, have a potential to be taken away from us. However, none of the funding is. I was actually just on our association meeting this morning, and we are not hearing any concerns of funding, with the exception of anything COVID related, which was already on the way out. They kept doing extensions until 25, 26. So we were already preparing for those, to kind of go away. I think we're able to still make our message and make our impact with, promoting vaccines and that, the flu has been, around. I just mentioned that, we're not getting any pushback on that, some of our major initiatives.
And you did mention some measles cases, am I correct?
Yes, well, not in Michigan. We don't have any here right now, but just in the last couple of weeks, there's an outbreak in Texas.
The Mennonite camp in Texas.
That has been, so it's just that something we haven't seen, in years, and now those are starting, those diseases that we haven't seen. I think last year we were talking about polio in New York, and, that was something that was essentially eradicated or not even thought of, and now, we're hearing that, so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair will entertain a motion to receive the report of the Health Department.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Bear, Commissioner Williams, and all in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We move now to claims. Chair will entertain a motion to pay the claims.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Bear. All in favor will please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Thank you. And then please take note, if you will, of other minutes that are part of your package, the VA and 2 sets of board meeting minutes from the DHHS. Please take note of next month's reporting schedule. That being, I don't see any there. I was thinking maybe it just wasn't coming up. I'm sure there will be something, because I know there are appointments that are going to be coming up next month. We're up to public comment. Public comment is now open for 2 minutes each. Please come to the microphone and make your public comment. Any public comment? Any public comment? Public comment is now closed. Commissioner comments, please. Hearing no commissioner comments, we stand adjourned at the call of the chair. Thank you.